Coming up, I'm going to show you how to draw this eye with just the number 2 pencil. Alright, we're going to draw an eye, and we're going to try to make it look realistic. Here is our reference photo, and if you can't see it, you can't draw it. So I encourage you, if you're going to draw from a reference photo, make sure that you blow it up, maybe to 8.5 by 11. So here's our reference photo. We're going to try to draw this eye. The challenge in this video is I'm just going to use the number 2 pencil, a smudger, an eraser. I'm using this eraser. It's called the Mono Zero because it can get a lot of details, but you can use whatever eraser you got. Also, I'm going to be using a gel pen for the final touches. So here we go. I'm going to create this circle by making a circular motion, and when I feel comfortable, I'm going to put the pencil on the paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so there it is. And what I just drew was the whole eye, and everyone's eye is a sphere. It's round. When you're looking at a reference, I like to start looking at the side of the eye right here. And this angle matters. This is important. So I'm looking right here and I'm noticing what kind of a curve this is. By noticing this curve, it's going to tell me where to start the eye. This curve right here happens to be right here. So I know that the corner of the eye is right there at that dot, okay? Now, I'm also noticing, okay, if we were to do a straight line, notice that the corner of the eye is way up here. So it's angled. There's this angle here. We want to put that angle on the page. There we go, and just eyeball it. I was noticing that right there in this little line. There we go. Now we're going to focus on this guy, all right, the side of the eye, and we're going to pay attention to the angle. It goes down, and then it comes right back up. So here we go, it goes down. All right, starts to curve over and go up. Now we're going to do the top part of the eye. And a lot of times when you're trying to draw realistically, you have to keep looking at your reference back and forth, observe, take it all in. The more you can see, the more you can draw, right? And angles matter. Angles matter. You start to go up, start to curve, and we know where it ends because we've already marked it right here. This is where it ends, right? So here we go. Start to go up. All right. Starts to curve and over. All right. Now the bottom one. The bottom one is typically shorter than the top one. The top one is usually longer. So we start to go down subtly, and then we start making that curve. Right there. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do the shelf of the eye, and it's very, very subtle. You're not drawing hard at all, and you're just mimicking the line above very lightly. And if you do several lines like I'm doing right now, it's fine. It will look like skin. It'll look realistic. All right. And then we're going to do the top part, even though in the final product you're not going to see very much of it, if any. So there we go. All right. Okay. Now we're going to focus on this part of the eye, which is the crease. All right. It's the upper eyelid crease. So notice there's 2 lines here. So we're going to add those 2 lines right there. We're going to come up, kind of mimicking. But in our reference photo, I've noticed that there's almost a straight line right there. All right, so we're observing that. And then there's 2 lines right there. So we're going to get those. We're loose with our hands, having fun with it. Now, we're going to draw the iris right here. And there's several things you want to pay attention to. Where the iris hits the eyelid, so right there at that angle, and it hits right there. All right, so we're going to mark that right now. All right, so that's like right about here. Okay, we're going to notice if it comes down, does it go below the eyelid, the shelf of the bottom eyelid? No, it actually stops right before the bottom part. All right, so that's good to know. We're gonna put that in. All right, so right about there. Okay, and then we're noticing that it comes up right here. Okay, and that's where it hits. All right, so those 3 marks are very, very helpful marks for us. Okay, now let's pay attention to the white space. All right, this the white part of the eye. Notice that it actually looks almost like a hand. So there's the thumb, and there is the hand, and it's like catching the ball. It's catching this ball right here. Okay, now why do we do that? When you pay attention to like negative space or just different sections, and you can visualize what it looks like, another object in your head, it can actually be easier to draw. So because I pictured hands, okay, catching this, I can come back to the page and I'm imagining, all right, there's the hand, there's the thumb, there's the hand catching this ball. Now on the other side, it looks like it's a sliver of the moon that's been cut in half. You see that? It's like the sliver of the moon cut in half. So we're going to come back here and, all right, there's the sliver of the moon cut in half. There we go. Now we want to find the very middle of the iris, which is the pupil. And to find that, we're going to draw like a cross or an X. And at the center of that X is the pupil. All right, there it is. And we're going to look at our reference and notice that there's a lot of light hitting the eye, so the pupil is going to be smaller. If it was, this person was in a room with low light, then the iris would typically be larger because it wants to let in as much light as possible to see. Our iris is a little bit smaller than usual because it's outside and it's bright. And go ahead and press hard on your HB pencil if you're using an HB pencil. This is where you want to make the darkest part of your drawing is the iris. I'm pressing pretty hard. That's going to be the darkest part of the whole drawing. All right. Now the benefit of using other pencils like a 4B, a 6B, or an HB is that you can make this even darker and make things look even more realistic because of that high contrast. I just want to show you that with a school pencil, an HB pencil, you can actually make a realistic eye drawing. Okay, now we're going to also notice the lighting here, the reflection in the eye. This is called the highlight. We're just going to kind of notice the shape of this. It's like that. All right, so we're going to come over here. Notice there's this shadow right here. We want to get that shadow, so leave that there. All right. Come over here. All right, so there is our highlight. We're going to notice that the pupil has almost like sunlight rays coming out of it. So think of this as like a black sun with little rays shooting out from the very center. The rays are just shooting out. And go ahead and press dark on that. You don't really want to do everything like spaced out perfectly and not overlapping, because then it actually doesn't look realistic. It's okay to have some of those rays overlapping, some be longer, some be shorter. It's going to actually make it look realistic in the end. All right, now we're going to, this outer rim of the iris is dark, so we're going to come back in and again pressing hard like we did on the pupil. We're pressing hard on that outer part, pressing real, there we go, real hard. Okay, this is the second darkest part in the drawing. All right, and there's that dark shadow there. We're gonna put in that dark shadow right there. We'll bring it around. Yeah, eyes are so important if you're drawing faces, for like human faces or animal faces. People, when you're talking with people, they stare in your eyes. So we can tell a lot of emotion in the eyes. So you want to get your eyes done well, okay? People are going to be spending most of the time looking in the eyes of the person or the animal you're drawing. So get the eyes down. And also, if you can learn to draw eyes realistically, you can actually draw a lot of things realistically, because the eye has so many little technical challenges to it and textures to it. So if you can get the eye down, you can learn to draw a lot of different things. All right, here we go. We're going to put a layer of pencil down, light layer of pencil down on the iris. There we go. Huh? No thanks. There we go. All right. You might be thinking, oh, that doesn't look very realistic yet. That's because we're going to take the smudger. We're going to smudge this layer of graphite and go ahead and smudge next to those rays, or on top of those rays that we did earlier. All right. And now smudge next to the dark part of the eye. All right. All right. There we go. Okay, now for the fun part, we're going to, we're basically going to put another ring around this eye, another circle. But this circle isn't going to be like round. It's going to be almost like a lot of U's. You see what I'm doing here? And they don't all have to be the same shape. And you can put in another layer of U's, okay? And sometimes you can just do little squigglies. Like you can get away with a lot right here, because in reality, your eye has so many layers to it that like almost anything you put down is gonna end up working. Okay, so think again, like this is the sun. It's like a black sun, and you're doing like more rays. But you're focusing on the middle of the eye and putting in rays in the middle of the eye. Okay, then you're going to come back to the edge and you're going to put in some U's like this. Just putting in some U's. They're not all looking the same. That's okay. There we go. Then you're going to go from the middle of the eye and come all the way out. Middle of the eye, come all the way out. Middle of the eye, come all the way out. There we go. Just around the eye. Okay. Middle of the eye out, middle of the eye out, middle of the eye out. There we go. Right now I'm going back with the smudger. I want to do another smudge all the way around. Going from the middle of the eye out. All right, and we'll go back in one more time just putting some more lines. And I'm just putting in some lines that aren't perfectly straight. All right, that's on purpose. I don't want it perfectly straight. It actually doesn't look real when you do everything perfectly straight. Truth is, reality is a lot more complicated, and there's a lot more going on there. So there we go. I'm gonna shade it in just a little bit more. All right, I like that. That looks cool. Now we're going to use that eraser, and we're gonna lighten up some things. All right, so there we go. There's a highlight right there. We're gonna highlight on the opposite side, like this. Okay, then I'm gonna even do some highlights like this. What I'm doing is aiming up real quick, aiming up, just flicking my wrist like that, and letting the eraser take away some of the graphite and create some awesome, just cool little designs in the eye. I think that looks pretty cool. All right, now we're going to use the smudger, and it's always darker under the eye, at least in the reference photo. It's darker under the eye because of the way the light's hitting it. So I'm pressing dark here, and I'm lightening up and doing little circles as I come up here. Oh, something we should have done, we can do right now, is erase this straight line. We don't need that reference line anymore. We don't need this reference line anymore. We don't need this one, and we don't need this one. Okay, so I'm just erasing those. All right. You'll notice I'm using this little brush to brush things away, because I've noticed if you try to, go, sometimes spit will get on it and ruin your drawing, or sometimes people wipe with their hands, but they smear the pencil. You don't want to do that, so a brush, it can work really well. At the bottom, I'm pressing harder. It's because I want it darker. And as I go up in little circles, see, going up and doing that circular motion gives you more control over it. As I go up, I'm lightening up on it. I'm not pressing so hard, so that it's dark at the bottom and it's light there. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. It's dark on top. When you run out of graphite on there, you can go back to the middle of the iris, grab some graphite there, and then come back. All right, so you got dark graphite up there, but then as you go down, you lighten up on it. Okay, let's do the bottom part. It's dark right here, but as you go up in circular motions, it's getting lighter. And right before your very eyes, this eye is starting to look like a real eye. That's what's so cool. If you know the technique, and what are we using? We're just using an HB pencil, you would use at school. So I think that this is pretty cool. We're going to do the corner part of the eye right here, put a layer of it on there. Okay, you can smudge it. It's usually a little darker than the white part of the eye. And also, according to our reference, there's some interesting textures going on here. So go ahead, and it's darker at the top, and there's some interesting little textures here going on we'll put in. All right. Okay, now we're going to do the shelf of the bottom lid right there. We're going to do that, the shelf of the lower eyelid. So it's really light and mimicking the line above. Just putting it back in there because it got erased a little bit. Right there it is. Next, we're just doing a light layer of the blending tool on top there. Really light. And then on the edge, we're going to go darker, like that. Because the light's hitting the top part of the shelf of the eyelid, but at the edge, the light's not getting there, so it gets darker. this is such a cool little tool. It's like creating some neat little textures and making it look like skin. All right. And then on the corner of your eyes, right around here, there's like little tiny bumps that you can do by just pressing. So there's the bumps there. And there's typically a crease right there. So I'm just going to put it in right there. All right, let's do the top part. This part, even though you won't really see it in the final product, it's usually so covered up by eyelashes. I'm just going to put a layer there. And then notice on our reference, it gets dark towards the crease. So we're going to go over here towards the crease, smudge that. Okay. And then lighten up a little bit as it comes closer towards you. All right, there we go. All right, now for the eyelashes. All right. Putting back that right there. Okay. The eyelashes, this was challenging for me. So here's what helped. Typically, well, it depends on what your reference is, but at some point you usually will draw a J for your eyelashes. So the J's, according to this reference picture, is right around here. Here's a J. If you can draw a J, you can draw an eyelash. All right. It also looks like the hook for a fish. Right. So there's the J, and then as it comes down here, it starts not looking like a J, and when it comes towards the middle, it starts looking like almost like U's. All right. So there's like U's, and then when you come over here, it starts looking like the Nike symbol, the Nike symbol. So just liken what you see to something you already know, and it's going to help you draw much better. So I'm going to put those little things here. So here is the J that we talked about. There's the J. And then as it comes down, it just kind of like, barely a line that has a little curve in it. Then over here, here's the Nike symbol. That's a terrible Nike symbol. Okay, and then the center, this J is like way up high. There we go. All right. Now, people clone eyelashes thinking they're all the same, and it makes it not look real. What you want to do is group your eyelashes. So they meet at the top a lot of times and just kind of get it close there. Okay, but think of groups. Groups. They start at different places, but they kind of meet up. Hey guys, let's meet up at Starbucks. All right, yeah. So there they are. They're meeting up. There we go. And if you draw your eyelashes like that, where it looks like they're kind of meeting up, it's going to look so realistic compared to if you make them all look like clones of each other. It's just going to look so fake and won't give you the results you're looking for. And then notice in between, I'm going to just put some random U's in between. It's a little technique that makes it look realistic. And I learned that through trial and error. Okay. All right. And towards the end, it's like they're not going up so much. They're kind of curving out. So we're going to do that. You can see this is, see, I'm not doing it all perfect. I'm leaving room for each eyelash to have its own little expression. All right. Because your eyelashes are like that too. They want to be unique. All right, here we go. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom one. So we're noticing the curves, the angles, those things matter. And in our reference, it's lighter here and it gets darker here. That's just how it is in the reference. So we're going to try to do the same thing and pay attention to that. We're going to do lighter ones in the back. And as it comes around to the front, we're going to make them much darker. So I'm putting in my groups. Notice how I have like little, every once in a while, put in some guys, some eyelashes that like don't obey the rules. They just go all over the place. You have some of those eyelashes too. They don't care if they're supposed to meet up at Starbucks. They want to go do their own thing. So they go in different directions. All right, see, it's coming together, starting to look more real. All right, you come back in with your smudger and you can darken up. Oh, there's not enough graphite in there. So now you can come back in, darken up some stuff underneath. Okay, there we go. I want to darken up more stuff there. I want to darken up right here as it comes to the edge, because I notice it's darker there on the reference. All right, this area is darker. So now you're eyeballing it. You're just going back and forth between what you're drawing and the reference, and you're filling in the gaps. What needs to be put back? What needs to be taken out? All right, I want that darker. Sometimes you can just put in another layer of pencil where you want it darker, like that, and then smudge it. All right, now I'm going to show you real quick. To get some skin that looks real, sometimes you do a circular 8 motion. Circular 8, like this. So what I'm doing is this. And instead of stopping like that, I'm actually just continually going. And for some odd reason, it actually creates, like, the graphite starts to look like it's skin. Why, I'm not sure, but it does. See, I'm doing that right here. It's starting to look like, oh wow, that's detailed skin. And you and I know all it is the figure 8, just going like crazy. There we go. All right, we're gonna put in little veins, because whether you like it or not, you have little veins in your eyeball. All right, and my hand is shaking, and I'm using that to my advantage because your veins are wobbly. So if it wobbles, that's fine. There you go. All right, we're almost done. We're gonna add, now if you don't have a gel pen, you can use the eraser like this. You can come in and add some little sparkle, like, or reflections. It's the light hitting the water part of your eyes, like the liquid part. But I'm going to come in with this gel pen and add some highlights there. And I'm going to add it right here on the side. Notice I keep coming over here. I have a scratch piece of paper where I can test out things and make sure things are working properly. Highly recommend that. Also, see right here, there's these little bumps. There, you can come in and highlight those. I'm being careful not to actually put it over the eyelashes. If I put it over the eyelashes, it's just going to look weird. So I'm putting it around the eyelashes. All right, and what happens if you do put it on the eyelash like I did right there? You come back in with your pencil and go over it. All right, so that is how you can draw a realistic eye with just a number 2 pencil. I forgot to show you the reflection of the eyelashes, so here they are. If you use this tutorial, let me know in the comments and share a link so I can check it out. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Please give it a like and subscribe.